If you start training without getting the full picture of where your body is currently at, then you're going to run into more problems than you even started off with. In this video today, we're going to quickly go over why it is so important that we assess ourselves, how to use this movement screen, and then the movements in the screen themselves. We're going to show you how to perform them and how to score yourself. I end up working with a lot of people who, after putting months of effort into a certain program, they end up not making any progress. They put in lots of effort, but the programs that they've been given or that they've found themselves ended up asking too much of their bodies, and they ended up in a worse position than they started off with. A simple fix to all of this is a quick and easy assessment that you can do in your own home with very minimal equipment to be sure you're going to move your body in a safe and challenging way. So for every movement we have here, we're going to use a color-coded system. First, we have green. You can perform the movement throughout full range, no pain, feels relatively easy. We have yellow. You can perform the movement. It isn't exactly clean or easy, but you can do it. And then we have red. That would indicate any pain or you just not being able to perform the movement at all. And that's it. We're not looking for perfect. We're just going to try and be a little bit honest with ourselves about where we're currently at. So either just use the document down below to score yourself, or just a piece of paper, and then we can get moving. The first movement today is the floor transfer. So how well can you get yourself up and down off of the floor? Believe me, this is one really challenging move for lots of people who I work with, but see how you go. If you can get up and down from the ground without using your hands, that's a green. If you can do it without using your hands, but you know, it's a bit clunky, it's going to take you a little while, that's a yellow. If you need to put your hand on something, a chair or a stool, to get yourself down onto the ground and it's painful, that's a big old red. Okay, we now have a deep squat hold. So the gold or the green standard would be getting quads, so our thighs, parallel to the floor. So this nice deep position, the knees are facing outwards, the heels aren't lifting, there's no pain. And if you have all of that, then you get yourself a green. If you can get into the squat but you can't get quite that deep, or if your ankles are lifting up a little bit, give yourself a yellow. If you're getting pain in the knee from doing any sort of flexion, so just the slightest bit of flexion, you can't really get down very deep, your ankles hurt as well, then you get a red. Now for our overhead reaching range, find yourself a wall that isn't obstructed by paintings or anything like that. And we're going to want to try and get our heels all the way to the wall. We want to have our back nice and flat onto the wall. We want to keep our ribs down and our core engaged, and we want to see how far up we can get our hands and see if we can get them pressing up against the wall. If we can touch the wall without our ribs flaring, that's a green. If we can get our hands pretty close to the wall, a little bit of flaring at the ribs, no pain, that's a yellow. If taking your hands above your head and pushing them back into this direction is painful, you got it. It's a red. Now we are going to test our balance. So we are going to see how long we can stand on one leg for. Well, the test is going to be for 30 seconds. So try 30 seconds on one leg. If there's not too much shaking, you don't have to put your foot down onto the ground, and you can do that with both of your legs, you earn yourself a green. If you want to really challenge yourself, maybe even try and do that with your eyes closed. If you can do both of those with your eyes closed for 30 seconds, you get a double green. If you can get one side's okay, the other you can't quite make it, give yourself a yellow. If you can't make 30 seconds on either leg, or it ends up being too tiring or uncomfortable or painful in any of those movements, you get a red. Okay, we are now going to test our body's ability to hinge. So we're looking at our hamstring flexibility here and our pelvis control. What would be easiest for most is if you get yourself close to the wall, maybe a foot away from the wall. we're looking at putting a tiny little bend in our knees, not completely locked out. And what we are going to do is hinge at our hips forwards. We're going to come over our legs. And as we do so, we send our hips back towards the wall. So we're going to press our butt onto the wall, and we know we're doing it right. As you can see here, we want minimal rounding in the spine. So absolutely no curvature of the spine. We want to have it nice and arched. And then we want to see how far we can get our hands down. If you can get your hands touching and resting on your shins while you still are maintaining a nice flat back, you get a green. If you can get your hands even further down without rounding, you get a double green. If you can only get maybe to about your thighs with still maintaining a flat back, you get a yellow. If you are having a really tough time even maintaining a flat back and you're just rounding, you can't figure out the movement, this is causing you pain, then you get a red. So the next movement, we're going to be testing our grip strength and seeing how long we can hang for. So if you're at home and you have nothing you can hang from, feel free to just skip this movement, but next time you walk past a park or some monkey bars, remember this video and test yourself. If you can hang for more than 20 seconds, no pain, anything, green, big old tick. If you can hang for the 20 seconds, but it feels really uncomfortable, there's a little bit of twinging here or there, or you can't make the 20, that'll be a yellow. If putting your hands up over your head and you can't even lift yourself up off of the ground, it's painful, you feel like you don't have the strength anywhere, that'll be a red. Next, we are testing our ability to carry and hold things. So it's going to test our core, it's also going to test our grip strength and our upper body strength. So if you're at home and there's no weights around, grab the heaviest things you can. Maybe get a couple of backpacks, fill them up with bags of rice or things like that. You're aiming for about 20 kilos, 10 to 20 kilos in each hand. And we're just going to see how long you can walk. If you can walk 20, 30 meters holding onto these two things, you get a green. If you can do it, but it's a big struggle, hands are really stressing, and you can only make it about 10 meters, give yourself a yellow. If even thinking about doing that makes you feel uncomfortable and in pain, then you're going to be getting a red. Now, this one we're not going to be able to do right now, unless you want to just pause this video or put me in your headphones, but it's your ability to walk for an extended period of time. We're looking at 30 minutes. Do you know if you can do a 30-minute walk? Have you done that in the last few weeks? How did you feel while you were doing it? Were you in pain? Were you puffed out? Was it completely gassing you? If 30-minute walk for you is all good, give yourself a green. If 30 minutes was a little bit challenging, you probably were like maxing out your heart rate, give yourself a yellow. And if 30 minutes is just too long for you to even think of, it would be way too painful, then you get a red. If you've scored red in this one and you struggle to walk 30 minutes at a time, this should be one of your main goals to work towards at the moment. The other things, they could probably wait. We want to get you back to walking this amount of time without any issues. Amazing. Now that we've finished our assessment, hopefully you have a better understanding of where your body is currently at. Green things. We can start moving them now. We can start loading them with weight. We can start increasing the progressions. Things that you scored yellow and red in, they're the things that we want to go easy with, but we don't want to completely stop doing them. They've gotten this way for a reason, and we need to focus on bringing them back up to baseline so we have a completely healthy, well-rounded, and strong body. Let me know in the comments down below if any of the movements you got a yellow or red for, because then I'll know what sort of videos to make more of.